In this lecture, I'm going to show you different types we have in TypeScript. So let me start by declaring a variable called count and set it to 5. Now, if I set this to, let's say, a character or a string like A, note that I immediately get a compilation error here telling me that this A string or A character is not assignable to type number. Now, we can perfectly do this in JavaScript because in JavaScript, we can change the type of variables on the fly, but in TypeScript, we get a compilation error. Now, once again, I want to clarify that we can perfectly compile this using TypeScript compiler and we will get valid JavaScript code. So if I go to terminal and type TypeScript compiler main.ts, now look, this is our main.js. So we have this count variable and we have changed its value. We can perfectly execute this, no problem. However, code like this is very likely that it's going to break at some point in the future because chances are we're going to use this count variable inside a for block. So our program is going to break at runtime. We don't want this to happen, right? That's one of the reasons it's better to write the same code in TypeScript so at least we can get a warning during the compilation step. Now, if you hover your mouse over this count variable, look at the tooltip. You can see a colon and number after this count. So this indicates the type of count variable in our program. So here, TypeScript compiler inferred that the type of this variable should be a number because we set it to number 5. Now, what if I declare a variable without initializing it? Let's look at its type. Its type is now any. And that's exactly like the variables we declare in JavaScript. So I can set a to 1. Then I can change the value to true and then set it to a string. Even TypeScript doesn't complain about this. So what's the solution? If we don't know the value of a variable ahead of time, that's when we use type annotations. So here we add colon, and after that we set the type of this variable, like number. And then look, on the third and fourth lines, we got compilation errors. Now in TypeScript, we have a few different types. So we have number, which can include any integer or floating point numbers. We have booleans, which can be true or false. We have strings. We have any that you saw earlier. We have arrays. So let's say we want to declare an array of numbers. We would use number with square brackets. Now we can optionally initialize this to an array like this. Or we can declare an any array, and with this, we can set this to an array with these values: 1, true, A, and false. Of course, it's not a good practice. We want to avoid this, but I'm telling you what is possible with TypeScript. Now we also have another type that I absolutely love, and that's enum. So let's say we're working with a group of related constants, like colors. So in plain old or vanilla JavaScript, we would define constant colors like this. So color red, we can set this to 0. Constant color green, we set this to 1, and constant color blue, set it to 2. Now this is a little bit verbose. In a lot of object-oriented languages, we have this concept called enum. So we can put all these related constants in a container. So in TypeScript, we can declare an enum like this. Enum, all lowercase. We give it a name like color. Now curly braces, and here we set the values. So red, green, and blue. Then we can declare a variable like background color and set it to color dot. Now look, we have IntelliSense here. So this tooltip you see here allows us to complete this code without remembering all the details. And this is one of the things I love about TypeScript. So let's set the background color to color.red. Now in terms of the values, the first element here automatically gets the value of 0. And each subsequent element gets an incremented value. So we don't have to explicitly set these. But as a best practice, it's better to do so because chances are sometime in the future, someone may come here and add a new color here like purple. And then purple would automatically become 2 and the value of blue would change to 3. So this may break parts of our application. So let me revert this. By explicitly setting the values, if somebody adds a new color here, like purple, then it will not change the value of blue. Now let me show you something. Let's compile this code and see how we get enum in JavaScript. So TypeScript compiler main.ts. Look at this piece of code here. This is how we can implement the concept of enums in JavaScript. You can see it's very complicated. Now compare this with how we declared an enum here. It's much cleaner. So the more you work with TypeScript, the more you're going to love this language.